every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
Core TV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome. I am Frank Omalapeh. Our top stories tonight. A coalition of civil society groups forced the report of Amnesty International indicting notable officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Also in this program, the Nigerian Union in South Africa on Tuesday reported new xenophobic attacks against Nigerians and other foreigners in South Africa. And the Imo State Police Command has paraded no fewer than 25 students who converge at the Federal University over alleged cult art activities. And outside Nigeria, 6 Irish students have been killed and 7 others injured when a 4th-floor balcony in California gave way. Tonight, Youth for Change Nigeria, an umbrella group of Nigerian youth, has said President Muhammadu Buhari is a leader of Nigeria, not just for All Progressive Congress. Hence, it will be wrong to cloak him in a partisan toga. In a statement issued in Lagos on Tuesday, the organization's national leader, Shehu Bobade, said the moment Buhari was sworn in as president on May 29th, he became the leader of all Nigerians, irrespective of their party affiliations. And now the coalition of civil society groups has described as false the report of Amnesty International indicting notable officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces for war crimes in the fight against Boko Haram. The group stated that the report of Amnesty International is not a true reflection of the current war against Boko Haram. It maintains that the investigation carried out by the group is at variance with the Amnesty International report, which is capable of demoralizing troops on the front line. The president of the group, Etuk Basi, in a courtesy visit to the Defense House headquarters in Abuja, pledged to submit its finding over the Amnesty report to the International Criminal Court. Our correspondent, Pilot Samuel, has details.
For some time now, Amnesty International has come up with different reports of war crimes against Nigerian military since the fight against Boko Haram started. But the recent report by the right group is still raising lots of questions. Now, the coalition of civil society groups says Amnesty International report indicting senior military officers is not a true reflection in the fight against Boko Haram.
We reject in totality the report of the Amnesty International indicting noble officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces for war crime in the fight against Boko Haram in the Northeast between March 2011 and 2014. This report has been found to be lopsided, lacking in basic facts, and bereft of fundamental understanding of the war against insurgency has been fought and almost won in Nigeria.
The group is also concerned over the neglect of Nigeria by other countries in the fight against terrorism. They say Nigeria has been left alone to fight the global menace of terrorism, and the country has prosecuted the war judiciously. The right group argued that the military has shown professionalism in the discharge of their duties, despite being denied the purchase of modern weapons that could aid effective prosecution of the war against Boko Haram.
Our investigation and independent assessment of the war on terror in Nigeria, however, it is at sharp variance with the report of the Amnesty International, as the activities of the Nigerian military based on our investigation has helped to save thousands of lives, taking back lost territories, restore hope to a once hopeless people who have been held-bound hitherto by the draconian clutches of this dreaded sect called Boko Haram.
Responding shortly after, the Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Bade, admitted that there may be pockets of errors from the military operations in the northeast, which he described as normal in a war situation and should not be adjudged as crime against humanity. He maintained that no amount of distraction would deter the military from ensuring the total rescue of the northeast from terrorists.
One thing the armed forces is doing is that we are not deterred by criticisms. In war, nothing is equal. And people behave differently. They say under pressure, you behave differently. And war, I think, is the worst form of pressure that a normal human being can ever face. So if there are 1 or 2 infractions out there at the theater of war, it is normal. It happens to every army. The most developed armies have committed worse crimes.
For now, President Buhari has ordered for a full investigation into the reports of Amnesty International. Paris Samuel, Core TV News, Abuja.
And now the Nigerian Union in South Africa on Tuesday reported new xenophobic attacks against Nigerian and other foreigners in Steenkop, Namakwa municipality, Northern Cape province of South Africa. The president of the Union, Ikechukwu Anyene, said in Pretoria, South Africa, that the Northern Cape province chapter chairman of the Union reported the incident to each national secretariat. The report indicated that South Africans attack Nigerians. He said 2 cars belonging to Nigerians have been reportedly burnt, and they have been going from house to house, looting and destroying their property. Anyene said that there were 20 Nigerians living in the affected community, added that none had been reported dead in the incident. He added that 6 Nigerians have taken refuge with their families in nearby Springbok community, and they do not know the whereabouts of the other Nigerians as the incident has been reported to the Nigerian consulate in South Africa. Ambassador Uche Ajilokeke, as the incident has been confirmed by the ambassador while investigations are on. Senate President Bukola Saraki says the 8th Assembly will set priority in identifying and considering bills for early passage into law. He made the commitment when a delegation of civil society group visited him in his office at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. Saraki further stated that efforts will be made to consolidate on the gains recorded by the 7th Assembly.
Very importantly, Mr. President, we know that the Constitution was amended by this National Assembly, and the amendments that were made were the most far-reaching amendments of any amendment to a live document, the Nigerian Constitution. These far-reaching amendments covered making justiciable several of the social and economic rights contained in the present Constitution, but also several other issues that are really very important. And we thought it was the most progressive amendment to the Constitution that was made.
But our plan is very soon to meet as senators and have a legislative agenda that will identify what we call priority bills and find a way of fast-tracking the priority bills. I mean, I was one of those, I was on a program that defended some of the actions of the 7th Assembly in as much as it might not have looked tidy, but I think we should all appreciate why we're here. At the end of the day, we're here to ensure that laws that are passed are important. And I think that if we identify these bills early enough, then we can prioritize them and ensure that in a very short period of time, the 2 chambers will pass them. And I think that we would have that agenda. We'll fix the time where we'll sit down, senators, and look at laws that, whatever side of the divide you are, they're important to the people of our great country.
And our senator representing Ondo North Senatorial District, Robert Borough, on Tuesday clarified that the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, did not impose Senator Ahmed Lawan and Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila as consensus candidate of the party for the National Assembly leadership positions. Borough, in an interview with journalists on Tuesday, argued that Tinubu had preferred Senator George Akume and Gbajabiamila to be presented as the party's choice for the posts of Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, respectively. He said the argument of Tinubu was that both Akume and Gbajabiamila have been minority leaders in the 7th Senate and House of Representatives should automatically assume the leadership of both chambers as Senate President and Speaker, respectively. There was a general outcry among some federal lawmakers over the roles played by Tinubu towards the inauguration of the 8th National Assembly when the election into the office of the Senate President, his Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, and his deputy were conducted. And now the People's Democratic Party has cautioned former Kano State Governor Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso against provocative utterances which it says are capable of destabilizing the National Assembly and rubbishing the prevailing political tranquility in the country. PDP National Publicity Secretary Chief Olisa Metu, in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday, said the party was particularly shocked by what he described as a hate statement from Kwankwaso when he used offensive language against the PDP and its members in the National Assembly. The former governor had faulted the election of Senator Ike Kweremadu as a deputy Senate president when his party, the PDP, is a minority in the Senate. While condemning this, Kwankwaso's statement warned that the action was capable of affecting the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari. Between his statement, however, said his party was taken aback by the venom and bitterness in the statement, especially coming from a former governor, an elected senator, a highly respected former member of the PDP, who also benefited hugely from the party as minister and two-time state governor. The Rivers State chapter of the All Progressive Congress has challenged the state governor, Nyesom Wike, to declare his asset. The state APC explained that such step was necessary in keeping with the requirement of the office of the governor and in line with the mantra of the President Muhammadu Buhari's led federal government to promote transparency and accountability. State chairman of the party, Davis Ikanya, said in a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Tuesday that the people of the state were interested in knowing his financial status. Describing Wike as a caretaker governor, Ikanya said, in line with the code of conduct for elected public officers in Nigeria, they wish to advise Chief Wike to hasten to declare his asset. And away from there now, Kwara State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has decorated newly promoted officers, the first of its kind in the state. Our correspondent Rashid report is presented from our studios. Since the establishment of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in 2003 by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the security agent has since witnessed one form of improvement or the other. Security Armed was established to complement the police and other related security agencies in the safety of life and property. After 12 years of operation, the establishment recorded the first success of promotion of certified officers and hereby decorated in the Kwara State capital. The State Commandant, Austin Obiekwe, charged the newly promoted officers to discharge their duties respectively.
To those who got promoted, I say congratulations. Let it also be known to you that a lot will be expected of you in uplifting and upholding of the Corps' mandate towards the realization of the dreams of our Commandant General and the founding fathers of the Corps.
The joy here cannot be compromised as the newly decorated officers express gratitude to God.
Actually, it came at the very right time. It came at the right time. You know, in our agency, we do our things to standard. Once you are due for promotion and consider other variables, of course, you are sure to get your promotion.
It will make me to put more effort, at least to perform the security job which the Corps mandate demands.
With these newly promoted officers of the Civil Defense Corps, it is expected of them to live by the dictates of their engagement. And now the trial within the Mino Oguche, the alleged mastermind of the 2014 Nyanya bus stemming bombing, and 5 others continued on Tuesday at the Federal High Court in Abuja. This followed an order of the court to conduct another trial to determine if their allegation of forced confessional statement against the accused persons is true. A prosecution witness from the State Security Service informed the court that the first and third accused persons voluntarily made their statement in relation to the bombings. After admitting the witness statement, Justice Mohammed adjourned till June 17 for continuation of cross-examination of the prosecution witness.
You must have noticed the trial continued today for the trial within trial. That is to determine the voluntariness or otherwise of the alleged confessional statements. The PW1 has given his evidence. He has concluded his evidence today, and the Honorable Court adjourned the matter for cross-examination of that PW1 tomorrow. So that was what happened today.
You're also watching Court TV Primetime News. We take a break now. We'll be back with more stories after this time out. Join us again.
That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts.
When it's close to the time, our people will protest
on national issues.
That was their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And they do it.
Politics is about being a servant.
Passionately.
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
Sharing the adorable word of women.
There are some women who have what it takes.
In politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. When she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on Core TV News.
You've been watching Court TV Primetime News live from our Lagos studios. If you just joined us, a quick reminder of our top stories. A coalition of civil society groups forced the report of Amnesty International indicting notable officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces. The Nigerian Union in South Africa on Tuesday reported new xenophobic attacks against Nigerians and other foreigners in South Africa. The Imo State Police Command has paraded no fewer than 25 students who converged the Federal University over alleged court activities. All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms, like our Facebook page is facebook.com/CourtTV News. You can also follow at CourtTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CourtTV. Give a space, the news. The Police High Command has put an embargo on all forms of leave for it officers and men in Zone 6 Command comprising Rivers, Ebonyi, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. A statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer Emmanuel Chukwu said the IGP Solomon Arase made the order to stem the increasing trend of kidnapping and violent crimes there. The statement further noted the IGP's concern that despite several directives on an anti-crime activities, the situation there has not abated, thus leading to the stern warning to the police over there. The Police High Command, however, reaffirmed its commitment at ensuring that peace prevails and people go about their lawful businesses in all parts of the country. They enjoin the public to report suspicious persons and criminal elements at the nearest police stations for prompt actions. And the priest of St. Benedict Catholic Church in Ido, Ekiti, Reverend Father Emmanuel Akingbade, has regained his freedom. The priest was released the early hours of Tuesday, and the Catholic diocese, however, denies paying some ransoms. Our correspondent, Rashid reports.
That is the mood when the news of the release of Reverend Father Emmanuel Akingbade filtered into town. The father, kidnapped on the 9th of June, was released and allegedly found in Isho Ekiti. The Catholic Bishop of Ekiti Diocese, Bishop Felix Ajakaye, speaks.
They had been speaking with me, the abductors. They even allowed me to speak with Father. But for security reasons, I did that I shouldn't tell the public, so that we will be able to reach an agreement. In fact, they were requesting for 200 million naira. And I had to tell them the Catholic Church is a non-profit church, and that the Catholic Church doesn't have money. And not only that, the Catholic Church doesn't pay ransom. But we were still negotiating and praying. They asked me, okay, how much we could afford. I said, even 1 kobo, we couldn't. They still spoke with me yesterday night, and I told them. They began to speak in Yoruba now, because they said they came from Delta.
Though Father Emmanuel was shielded from journalists, the Catholic diocese denies paying ransom or being rescued by local hunters as peddled in some quarters.
Please, don't listen to that. And that is why you saw me that I told some journalists to leave. A friend in need is a friend indeed. In fact, what happened is a parable.
The Ekiti State Police Commissioner, Itop John James, via phone chat, confirms the release and arrest of 3 suspects in Delta State.
I'm on tour. I had to break the tour to go and see the release Reverend Father and the Bishop. But the same members of the gang that have been arrested, but 3 of them at Delta State. They have a syndicate spread out in many states. There's an ongoing operation with the police and the DSS. So it's a joint operation going on, and we are not bringing out a lot of details, but we can tell you that principal arrests, various principal members of the gang have been arrested.
With the kidnap and release of Reverend Father Emmanuel Akingbade, Ekiti residents will either heave a sigh of relief or sleep with one eye closed, not knowing when next kidnappers will strike. Rashid, Court TV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Imo State Police Command has paraded no fewer than 25 students who converged at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, the Imo State capital, on Monday. The students who came from different tertiary institutions in Nigeria assembled at Futo to be initiated into cult activities, but were apprehended by the police overnight.
We were arrested yesterday, or precisely early this morning, based on a tip-off by concerned citizens who saw when they were gathering in a bush around the Futo area. As a follow-up, operatives were detailed to the area, and in the process, these 25 suspects you see here were arrested. They belong to the Black Axe cult group. They are from within and outside the state. Some of them come from Abia, Imo, and other states. They were said to be converging for their national conference as well as the initiation ceremony before the police will conduct.
Now, the Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola has disagreed with Senator Inyola over the 440 or 80 rather billion which the latter gave as the amount of money borrowed by the present administration. The governor, in a statement made available in the Shigbonchu State by his media aide Semiu Okolamo, described Umishori as an incorrigible liar. The governor said the statistics of the nation's revenue given by the Central Bank of Nigeria on Monday had rubbished the claim of the former governorship candidate of the PDP, who he described as his traducers. But the PDP, in a statement, also accused the governor of telling lies to the people of the state by not coming out to admit that the state was heavily indebted. The director of media and strategy of the PDP in Osun State, Dino Deyemi, said it was sad that the governor gave 2 conflicting figures as the state date profile in the last 2 weeks. Now, officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a trader and an apprentice for ingesting 132 wraps of cocaine weighing 2.7 kilograms. The suspects were intercepted at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano while returning from Kenya. They both tested positive for drug injections during inward screening of passengers on an Ethiopian airline flight. NDLA commander at the Kano Airport, Ambrose Maro, gave the names of the suspect as Otaka Patrick Kalu, 48-years-old trader who ingested 72 wraps of cocaine weighing 1.4 kilograms, while David Ikechukwu, 32-year-old apprentice at Alaba Market, ingested 60 wraps of cocaine weighing 1.250 kilograms. The suspects were nabbed on their way from Kenya. Interim investigation revealed that they were recruited by one source and were promised the sum of $5,000 each. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Tuesday grilled a former governor of Ebonyi State, Martin Elechi. Elechi, who arrived at the Wuse Abuja office of the commission at 10 a.m. along with some former cabinet members, was accused of misappropriating public funds while in office. The former governor, who left office on May 29 after a second term, could not be quizzed while in office by the commission because he had constitutional immunity against prosecution. The anti-graft agency had on January 29, 2015, questioned the former governor's son, Nana, on allegations of money laundering and embezzlement. The FCC spokesman Wilson Wajure confirmed that Elechi was being interrogated following allegations of misappropriation of public funds, but attempt to ascertain whether the former governor will be detained overnight was not successful, as several calls made to Wajure's telephone line was failed to connect. Well, you're still watching Core TV Primetime News. We take another break now. We'll be back with sports stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, our 24-hour news station.
And outside Nigeria now, President Vladimir Putin says Russia will update its nuclear arsenal with more than 40 intercontinental ballistic missiles in 2015 while speaking at an arms fair. Mr. Putin said the weapons will be able to overcome even the most technically advanced anti-missiles defense system. NATO and Western leaders accuse Russia of sending soldiers and heavy weapons, including tanks and missiles, to the pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine, while Russia has repeatedly denied this, insisting that any Russians fighting there are volunteers, and the 40 nuclear missiles that Mr. Putin referred to on Tuesday are not traditional missiles but replacement for old ones, says the BBC's Hara Rainford in Moscow. It comes after the U.S. proposed increasing its military presence in NATO states and Eastern Europe, with tensions high over Russia's role in the conflict in eastern Ukraine, and while Russian officials have warned that Moscow will respond if the U.S. carries out its plans to score heavy military equipment in Eastern Europe, including in the ballistic states that were once part of the Soviet Union. Now, 6 Irish students have been killed and 7 others have been seriously injured when a 4th-floor balcony in California gave way. The students are believed to have been holding a birthday party at the time, Irish officials said, but the cause of collapse is still unknown. And Kenny, the Irish Prime Minister, has said that police told him there were 13 people on the balcony when it collapsed. An Irish Foreign Minister, Charlie Flanagan, says that 4 of the victims died at the scene and another died in hospital. The balcony, which is approximately 5 feet long and 10 feet wide, broke from the building around 12:41 local time. Many of those hurt have life-threatening injuries, as 2 Irish students who were asleep in the building when the incident occurred described a loud sound when the balcony fell. Irish President Michael Higgins said that he had heard with the greatest sadness of the terrible loss of life of young Irish people and the critical injury of others in Berkeley, California. And now, Jeb Bush, a son and brother of the Bush family, formally declared a White House candidacy of his own on Monday, portraying himself as the most accomplished leader in the 2016 field, vowing to wage war on Washington's political culture and insisting that his family name gave him no unique claim to the overall office. After a bumpy 6 months in which he struggled to excite primary voters who are skeptical of his surname and of his conservative convictions.
I, for one, am not eager to see what another 4 years would look like under that kind of leadership. The presidency should not be passed on from one liberal to the next. So here's what it comes down to. Our country's on a very bad course, and the question is, what are we going to do about it? The question for me is, what am I going to do about it? And I've decided I'm a candidate for President of the United States of America.
And now in business, now the civil rights groups, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to implement the recommendations of the independent audit of the Nigeria Extraction Industry Transparency Initiative. The group also wants government to recover outstanding revenues and dividends amounting to 2.32 trillion naira accrued from loans and interest repayment from federal government in the extractive sector. A statement signed by the executive director Awal Ibrahim states that the figure verified has amounted to 50% of the total expenditure, as well as about 65% of the fiscal deficit in the annual 2015 budget. You're still watching Court TV Primetime News. We'll take another break now. We're back with sports. Join us again.
Nigerians are expected to seek out the best. 2 words to describe the activity.
The Yoruba Unity Forum is conducting.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa.
Presidential
we break the news. Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV Primetime
News, a 24-hour news station.
In Sports Night, the Super Eagles captain Vincent Inyama has been queried for speaking out against the choice of the Ahmadu Bello Stadium for last Saturday's game against Chad. A Nigeria captain has been queried by the NFF for speaking out against the use of Kaduna as host city for last weekend's 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying game against Chad. Inyama reportedly tore up the letter asking him to explain the statement he made to media ahead of the game about security fears in Kaduna, a city that has witnessed attacks from the terrorist Boko Haram group in the past. The NFF had moved to swiftly downplay the statement by issuing a release which quoted President Amaju Pinnick, claiming that Kaduna has always been a perfect ground for all national teams and a city in love with football. Inyama won his 101st cap for Nigeria as they won 2-0 at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium. And now Uruguay captain Diego Godin has admitted the Argentine captain could rip his side to shred if they do not mark him closely today in the Copa America clash, as Uruguay go into the game as leader of Group B thanks to a 1-0 win over Jamaica, with their opponent in La Serena having been surprisingly ahead to a 2-2 draw with Paraguay in their tournament opener. However, Godin has acknowledged that the Celeste are the underdogs against a star-studded lineup led by Messi, what inspired Barcelona to a trouble last season, and last said that there is no formula to stop Messi, otherwise someone would have already achieved it. Uruguay labored to victory over Jamaica in their opener, with Christian Rodriguez getting the only goal of the game. But Godin argued that the result was all that mattered, adding that the Copa, all they want to do are good things so far. For them to win is good because he told his teammates that in 10 years with the national team he had never won an opening game. You've been watching Court TV Primetime News. Just before we go tonight, a recap of our major headline. We told you that a coalition of civil society groups forced the report of Amnesty International indicting notable officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces. We also brought to you that the Nigerian Union in South Africa on Tuesday reported new xenophobic attacks against Nigerians and other foreigners in South Africa. And finally tonight, the Imo State Police Command has paraded no fewer than 25 students who converged at the Federal University over alleged cult activities. Well, thank you for being part of our Court TV Primetime News tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I'm Frank Omalapeh. Have a splendid night rest.